In this video we're going to explore some of the features relevant to working with video in Pro Tools. First off, you might like to explore the video properties of the video file that you're going to work with. Here I'm using QuickTime Player. The movie inspector shows me that the video format is DV-PAL. That's the video codec. Pro Tools supports a range of QuickTime codecs. We can also see the frame size of the video. This is a standard definition, and that we have linear PCM 16-bit audio. Importantly, the frame rate is 25 frames per second, which is standard for Australian and many European video formats. Now we're going to import our video into Pro Tools. So we start by making a new session, and standard settings for working with video are 48 kilohertz sample rate. Make sure we choose the stereo I/O settings, and we're going to save our project. And we're going to import video. File, import video, choose our video. We're going to place the video at the session start, and if you want to, you can import audio from the video file. It's asking me where to put the audio track. Put it in the audio files folder, and here we are. Here's our video ready to go. A few settings that you'll want to set up to start with. First, you want to make sure that the frame rate of your video file matches the session. We set the session frame rate here in the Setup Session dialog box, and you can see the range of frame rates that are available. You need to set your video frame rate to match that of your movie file. If I set this to 24 frames, you'll see that the time code is set in red here to tell you that there's an error. I need to set it to 25 frames, and the frame rate becomes white to tell you that it is correct. Okay, the useful feature of the Timecode Ruler is worth noting. So we have timecode selected here, and this will now display hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. Hours, minutes, seconds, and frames in the main counter. Notice that the time display here is exactly 1 hour off. So this particular video has burnt in timecode, and it's a convention to start video at 1 hour. It's not necessary, but it's a convention from video production practices. If we want to move the video, we can put the edit mode into spot, grab the video to move it, and then specify the location that we want in hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. So I'm going to place it at 1 hour. You'll notice that the audio is empty here, so we can just delete that. And let's go and find where the video starts using the tab key to jump to 1 hour. We can now see that we have 1 hour displayed up here. Just get rid of the memory locations window, and 1 hour displayed here. If we set the keyboard focus here so that we can capture keyboard shortcuts to the edit window, we can then use the nudge keys, that's the angle brackets, to step through the video. Now, to set up our nudge and grid, we go up here, select timecode, and select the grid to 1 frame, that's 1 video frame, and similarly with the nudge value we can move clips if they're selected by 1 frame at a time. Very useful for placing sound effects. And you'll see as I use the nudge keys that we're stepping through. We're currently at 1 hour, 16 seconds and 15 frames, and as I step through, you'll see that when we get up to the 24th frame, we then jump over to the first frame of the next minute. Okay, so something that you're probably going to want to do is to start to put in some memory locations. So let's have a look at the memory locations window, and we use the Enter key on the transport to enter new timecode locations, new memory locations. And we're just going to go through and find appropriate locations. So I'm going to call this, we've got a dissolve there, but let's call this the first frame of this shot. So we're going to call this shot 1, give it a descriptive text, weed. Let's look for the next shot. It is. Use the nudge keys to get back to the first frame of that shot and mark it as shot 2. We just edit that description there, shot 2. Okay, so move our memory locations window so we can see it. Now we can start to move through the project, and that becomes a very convenient tool. Let's go back to the beginning of that shot and mark it. And now we're in a very good position to navigate through the session and to start to make a record of the timecode locations of each shot, start to make notes about compositional and sound design ideas, and notate them in a cue list. That's got you started with working with video in Pro Tools. Enjoy your production.